I think we all are representations of light enlightenment. And yeah.
Okay. Beautiful. The next painting.
That one we've called Vertex Dawning.
Vertex Dawning. It has so much amethyst energy in it. And
amethyst and rose quartz, as I thought about a lot too. It has kind of like this, I mean, it's very much about, it's sound. It has a lot to do with sound, I felt, when I was painting it. And also about memory. I mean, to me, there's all these little crystals in it and the crystals hold all this information. And I think some people have tapped into that. Many have yet, and some people don't know why they like them, but they like them, right? Mm-hmm. And crystals are this kind of ultimate form of vessels of information. And using them to communicate and also to remember. I'm talking a lot about remembering as a clue to finding out where we're going. And so this is kind of like a conversation, or it's like the vertex is about the tipping point. So the tipping point of getting to a point where so many of us are okay and ready for the next step. You know, we're not into being dumbed down into oblivion of consumer madness.
No fear.
Yeah. It's not necessary. We need to evolve, otherwise we're not going to survive on this planet. It's just that's where we're at now in history.
Right.
We can't exploit anymore without having a really detrimental future to the children and everybody. So yeah, that's very much about the awakening point. So maybe it's a sound, maybe it's a frequency, maybe it's something that happens that is just, and that's just it's like a little spaceship, a little UFO, a little
that's experience. What you said. I love that.
A little thought. I mean, they're like orbs, too.
Definitely.
And an orb is also, to me, it's kind of like a thought. It's an experience, like any thought or any, we call into reality in terms of when we think about it or when we share it. And then when we paint it, you're creating a new creation.
Right.
That exists and has a purpose. And does it have a soul? I don't know. Does it have but there's purpose. I really feel like they all have a purpose.
Definitely. You can feel it.
And that's why I don't, and I'm very all right with letting them go. Sometimes I'll do something and I'm so shocked by it that I have to hold on to it for a little while to figure out where did it come from, in a sense. I don't need to know that necessarily, but sometimes it has something for me personally that is very important.
Right.
But a lot of times, too, I discover more through other people observing and talking with them about them.
Right, which was very evident that in our conversation, that you're very open to that.
Because I paint, too. When I paint, I like to have a lot of different things. Sometimes I like it to be completely quiet, but I do like listening to talk radio shows.
Mm-hmm.
I like listening to a conversation happening over here where I can pipe in sometimes.
Right.
But I like my mind to be activated in a different sense.
Right.
While things are going on.
Almost to allow yourself to just flow through.
Yeah. And then it just flows. It's just,
nice.
It's kind of like this. It makes it easier in a way. Because sometimes I'll just sit there and think, and then I don't want to be thinking when I'm painting. So much.
I don't think that's a good idea. Well, it might be a great idea. I don't know.
Sometimes things come through, though, all out of nowhere, of something where I can think in a clear way about things. Or things that I've been having a really hard time making a decision about will become clearer once I get myself into a space of painting. So painting is definitely very much like a meditation for me.
Right.
But it's also such a intense practice. It's like doing yoga. Like if you haven't done yoga for a while and you get into it, man, your body is just like, oh, why did I stop doing this for a little while? And it's the same thing with painting.
Right. Definitely. It feels like you're creating crystals on canvas to me at this point. That's what it's feeling like. Panacea Is that right? Panacea?
Panacea,
She's
yeah.
the special child. Can you share again what you were...
Well, she represents the crystal children in a sense too, which is this age that I heard this wonderful just little excerpt about, the indigo children and the crystal children and the rainbow children and what the differences in what they are bringing to the world. And the crystal children are much about love and healing and forgiveness, and they're very very forgiving little humans that have come into situations too that are very, maybe not the best situations at times, but are here to forgive and love. And I think that's a beautiful image.
Yeah, I know.
And I feel like I've met quite a few of them where I feel like that's probably true. And so Panacea is about it's the great cure, or the healing. And and then the 4 points, the 4-leaf clover, the 4 hearts, kind of like the 4 directions. It's very, very earth-bound and very balanced.
I was thinking on the way up here, with everything that's coming through, maybe you can speak to this. When you talk about, crystalline children, indigo, rainbow, people have, it appears to me that people are embodying certain codes, certain information, and rather in the past we would go to our elders. If you grew up in a community or a society where you had elders that were housing a certain information, and I would just like your thoughts or opinions, because it was coming as I was driving up here, that actually all the people, the weaving of this planet, we're all have these seeds within us, these memories that we're bringing back to revitalize and rejuvenate planet Earth. So if you can speak to that thought and share your angle or perspective, or
on the elders.
Well, just on the information, even like the crystalline children, all of us that are sent here with some information, because we can connect to maybe a teaching or a thought or a culture that really speaks to us. But the more and more I keep just like stepping back to it, I'm like, I feel like, the Hopis will have a saying that we are the ones that we are waiting for. And then I was just interviewing someone, and he was talking about one of the elders from the Hopi saying, you are the next Indian. So I keep playing that over and over in my head. I'm like, and I feel it's an important message for people to connect with, because oftentimes we might say, well, I'm not the monk in the monastery, but maybe you're the human, or whatever, John in Chicago. You are the monk walking in Chicago. Yeah. So if you can speak to that, because that was coming to me on the way up, and I feel like you have some words to share with people listening about that.
Oh, I think we totally are. I think I think creativity is one of the key points in this, in realizing that. Because creativity through music, through dance, through painting, through art, in all forms, we realize that we are these amazing creators, even just in life, and creating food and creating our surroundings. And as we become aware of how much power we do have, that's the point of where we realize, wow, this universe is revolving around me, and I am not just this bystander that's being thrown through this. I am choosing all of these little bits and pieces for the most part, or choosing how I'm going to react to them. And when we become reflective of that, then we also see how we're such an important part of this entire system. And so we have so much power, and we have the power to change and to say our next door neighbor isn't. But the internet is connecting us in so many different ways. We can find communities where we are creating tribes through the internet now that is strengthening the entire vibration of this planet. It is empowering the galactic tribe, or whatever is happening, or this earth tribe that transcends all of the nations and all of the colors and all of the ages. The little ones and the older ones and the ones in the middle. We're all ready for this. Like, it's like the new, or not the new, it's not even new. It's time for this to happen.
Right.
There's no prophecy or anything that I think says it in the one best way. I feel like there's truth in so many of them, and
Right.
a lot of them are pointing to this time. So
Right.
you can't really deny it. You spend a little bit of time researching it and feeling it out for yourself. And to me, I can't imagine doing anything different or being. I mean, this is it.
Yeah.
This is what I came here for.
Exactly.
And then nothing else is more exciting. What would be more exciting to earn $100,000 a year? That would. I mean, why not? I'd make food forests all over the place, right? Or do all kinds, and we will. We're gonna do all of it and more. I think the dreaming factor is a huge one.
Right.
And through dreams, if we can help train ourselves and each other to talk about our dreams, and then to travel in our dreams, to wake up in our dreams. Mm-hmm. This is going to be one of the places where we are already connecting, but we're still very disconnected from.
Right.
Because of how dense we are in this physical form.
Yeah.
But we're evolving.
We're evolving. So speak about dreams. I'm an avid lucid and astral traveler myself. And from that comment, let's talk a little bit about it for the listeners that may not remember their dreams, and maybe you can share from your own experience how to start remembering. And then also, what I was sensing, if you could speak a little bit about the realities, because we're so conditioned that this is the only reality. But if you have astral traveled or lucid traveled, you are very aware that, or you may not be aware, I don't know, but I've become very aware that reality is just as real as this reality. Yeah. Sometimes more, and whatever that means. But so if you can share a little bit from your own experience, and then about what you've experienced that started to happen when you become more of a participant in that dimension.
Yeah. I have had different phases in my life where dreams have played a major influence, or where I've remembered them very, very vividly, or when I haven't. And it has to do a lot with focus. I mean, when you're focused on wanting to remember your dreams or want to participate in that, I find it much easier to remember them. When you have an intention before you go to sleep of remembering, and then you wake up and you allow yourself a little bit of time to remember and to jot it down or to talk about it with somebody. I get what has happened to me a lot in the last, I'd say, year, maybe a couple years. I get a lot of messages from other people that I appear in their dreams, and in very many different ways, but often as in a very real, lucid form, where I appear and I say something, or I go on an adventure with them or something, and then I leave. And it's a very apparent, like, arrival and departure kind of a thing. And these things I don't remember at all. But I would love to get, I feel like, there's even intense kind of pockets of where this happens, where I'll do a lot of traveling, even in just one night, and get 2 or 3 messages from people, oh, you were in my dream. And I can even feel it in myself. I'm doing something and I'm not totally aware of it.
Right.
And this, I think when you start to pay more attention to it, just in general, thinking about dreaming, maybe read a little bit more about it, you'll start observing that this is already happening to you anyway. Right. When you go to sleep at night, where do you go? And if you don't, you're like, oh, I don't dream. That's not true.
Yes.
So, and then, the veil is lifting, is really truly what I believe. And I think, and it's not just because I listen to all kinds of crazy stuff, which I do as well, but the veil is lifting. And what it is, and all of us have had these experiences of synchronicity, or of something is like you're thinking of somebody and they call, or the little things, and you can brush it off 1 time, 2 times, here and there. But it's happening, and it's happening more and more frequent. Right. And so what does that mean? I think that means that we're becoming more attuned to some other senses. So maybe the animal kingdom is very attuned to. How do they converse? Right. And they converse through